Well, I'll be talking about toxic mothers can cause misogyny, colorism, and identity issues. I think it's so important to talk about, the silent pain that men go through, and sometimes and people gaslight their feelings, and they want men to be emotionally intelligent, and masculine providers, but they're not willing to accept what happened to them. And some mothers are their first bully. Some mothers are their first bully, and we can't just talk about the media when it comes to colorism. We can't just talk about what we see on TV about colorism. We have to talk about the cause, the bullying, the mistreatment. God does not like injustice, and it's so important to talk about what mothers do, what mothers can cause little boys to resent women, resent black women and stuff like that. So it's so important to talk about their behavior and how nasty they can be. And if we don't acknowledge it, some people, they don't want to talk about it because they feel like, oh, men in general, they feel disappointed in men in general. So when they when they see someone trying to speak up about what black women have done, they try to just swipe it under the carpet and say, well, the man weren't around, and they try to just downplay the pain what the men been through. So the first one I'll be talking about is emasculating. This is not talk about it on Mother's Day at church. When women, like mothers, emasculate their son, they didn't know how much shame that's put on the guy. It makes them doubt their identity. It makes them doubt their manhood. They probably they start to question if they can even provide, because they feel so emasculated. They feel so violated to the point that they don't know if they can even be a leader or be a provider, and that's the intention. And we don't talk about how the Jezebel spirit uses mothers to emasculate their sons and doubt their manhood, doubt their calling as a man. And it's so important to talk about that, because I know, Mother's Day, they don't talk about it. They don't talk about the humiliation rituals that mothers do on at church. Mother's Day talk about, oh, they did the best they could, and it's like, oh yeah, they're good mothers. Like Mother's Day, they talk about like, oh my gosh, she did this, and you're superhuman. And like men, they have that resentment that they can't express, and women always say that what men are. Oh, he has to be emotional intelligent. Oh, he has to be emotionally intelligent. It's like, do you really want him to be emotionally intelligent? Because if you do, he has to unpack that little boy that was humiliated. He has to, you know, open up about how he was treated like a little boy. And you want a guy to be emotionally intelligent, but he has to open up about his father wounds, his mother wounds, and you have to be willing to hear what he says about women. That some mothers are toxic, some mothers are humiliating and very critical, and some men just walk away from church altogether. They're like, you know what? I'm gonna go on OnlyFans. I'm gonna go on OnlyFans, and you can go to parties and clubs, and talk to bottle girls, because some women are so critical. They're very very critical. They mock, they put down, and they criticize every single time. Like, you can't have a good conversation with mothers sometimes, and that's what you don't see in church. You have the celebration. Oh, it's Mother's Day. Oh, happy Mother's Day. You done this, you done that. But I don't see how critical, how much of a bully they are. And it's like, yes, they provide shelter. Yes, they provide shelter. They provide food, and it's is good and everything. But like when it comes to mothers, they can be so critical, always criticizing, and people try to justify it. Oh, I'm giving wise counsel. I'm just giving wise counsel. I'm a Christian. I have to tell them what to do. And it's like, no, you putting them down. Like, you putting them down. You don't even uplift them. You don't even uplift them. It's just like constantly criticizing him all the time, picking on him, and it's just like he feels drained. He feels so much shame because you're bullying him from a young age. You're putting him down at a young age. You're just putting him down and criticizing, and you're being so critical. And women are like, oh, be emotionally intelligent. You know how much that's going to cost? He has to tell the truth to himself. He has to tell the truth that you women are very critical. You guys are deluded, and you live in a fantasy land. and you expect men to just automatically be masculine providers without addressing the issue. Maybe his mother was irresponsible. Maybe she made bad choices. Maybe she's passive, she's weak, and she has low self-esteem, she has low self-worth, but they can't say that. They don't say that in church. She has low self-esteem, she's an enabler, she made bad decisions with men, can't think for herself, and he needs to address that. And if you want a guy to be, if you want a guy to be emotional intelligent, he has to address certain things, and it's not going to be nice. Everybody wants a healed man. They want providers. They want guys in a home, and they want the family to be, tight together, and they want kinder marriage. But they don't talk about the pain that caused little boys in the beginning, and it's so important to address that. Emasculating boys, emasculating them, putting them down, and being critical, that can cause identity issues. So criticizing, putting him down, embarrassing him, and you constantly putting him down. It's like Jezebel spirit has given women assignment to put men down. That's what it seems like. It just seems like the Jezebel spirit has gone to mothers to emasculate their sons, make them doubt themselves, make them doubt their manhood, make them doubt their identity. And we have to stop criticizing men. We have to stop criticizing little boys from a young age and putting them down, because it's embarrassing. And they'll feel so much shame and embarrassment. And then when we figure out what's going on in schools, they're picking on black girls, colorism, and you think, oh, where's it coming from? It's you. You put them down. I know the pastors can't see you at home, but God sees you. I know the pastors can't see you at home. You're giving money to church and you're serving in church and you are performing well in church, but God sees your heart. God sees what you're doing at home. He sees that you're bitter, that you're bitter about your husband, your ex-husband. He's bitter. You're bitter about your baby father. He sees your heart. He sees it's not clean. You're there worshiping at church and praying, but he sees your heart. He sees how bitter you are. He sees how bitter. He sees your unclean heart, how bitter you really are. So even the little boy, he sees your bitterness. You come home, you're bitter. And you're fake at church. You're smiling. You're grinning. You don't want deliverance or healing. You don't want to accept that you're bitter. You hate your life, and you're upset how life turned out. And you're going to church, and you clapping your hands. You serve, and you acting nice. You're being bubbly. But when you get home, you're miserable. When you get home, you're miserable. You're bitter, and you take out on anybody in the house. You take it on. Maybe you don't take it out on everybody, but you take it out on your son. You take it out on your son because you don't like him to be a man. You don't want him to be a man anymore. You want control. Some women want control, and their kids are their idol. Their kids are their idol. They don't love them. They're like, you're mine. They're like, you're mine. You're my property. You're my property. And they have this. They're in full blown adultery, and they want to idolize their sons and say, you know what, you are my idol. You're my property, and you're going to fulfill my needs. You're going to fulfill my needs, and that's it. I'm not here to be a mother. I'm not here to be nurturing. I'm not here to guide you or protect you. You are mine. You're my property. They have that mindset. A lot of them have that mindset, and they're at church. They're confused. They're confused. They're thinking, who is this woman laughing and being so friendly? Who is this person? And it's confused. They feel confused because when they get home, they're getting the crumbs. They're getting the nasty attitude. They're getting the dirty bitterness. And instead of saying to the pastor, you know what, I hate my life. I'm bitter. I'm upset that I'm divorced. I'm upset that I'm a widow, and I hate my life. They won't tell the pastor that. They smile and go, oh, everything's so good. Oh, I'm blessed. I'm too blessed to be stressed. And they're laughing. They're serving. When they come home, they're bitter. They're very bitter, and they're miserable, and they're nasty. And they don't see that in church. And people are thinking, my goodness, look at her mother. She's in church doing this, doing that. Why is he acting like this? Why is he so much rebellion? It's because they hide their nastiness. They laugh at the pastors. They laugh at church, and they laugh and they're all happy. But at home they're nasty. Their character is horrible, and we're forgetting about inner beauty. We're forgetting about inner beauty. We're getting caught up in social climbing and power circles and cliques. We're forgetting it takes integrity and morals and inner beauty, and healing is so important. Healing is so important. So when it comes to emasculating and bullying, we have to address it, because if we don't, we're gonna just continue to blame. We're gonna blame the media. We're gonna blame fathers, and we're gonna blame all these different things, because we can't blame shift. We have to accept that, you know what, my character is disgusting. You know, you can talk about things that happen. You know, it's not easy losing people. It's not easy feeling abandoned. But if you're gonna continue with a nasty attitude and a horrible character, it has to be addressed. That nasty attitude has to be addressed. You can't downplay it. Go, oh no, what, you know what? I have a right to be. I have a right to be angry, and you know, and saying, oh, like shifting the blame. You have to address it and say, you know what? Take accountability. It's so important to take accountability and just be honest about, you know, honest about what you have done, and that's so important. So the second one I'll talk about is son husband. Like a lot of women want kinder marriage. What makes it even more funny is that some women have their sons as a placeholder. That's what makes it sad. They have their son as a placeholder. They have their son as a placeholder, and there's like right now they have him on standby. So if she gets a husband or something like that, she probably just move him to the side, and he might feel abandoned afterwards. And they have this mindset of like, you know what, I don't have anybody, so they have their son as their therapist, their husband, and they place him in that position. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. And women are like, oh, where's my husband? Husband's coming. It's like, let go of your son. God wants us to be selfless and build the one. He wants us to be nurturing and caring towards our family. You can't have your son as a placeholder. And it's like it's the same aunties that will go around saying, oh, where's your husband? Why are you single? And they have their son as a placeholder. They have their son in a corner somewhere being their husband. And they say, oh yeah, you're still single. It's like you have your, let go of your son. Let go of your son. You know, that some of them go around roasting girls for being single, but they have their son on placeholder. They have their son on standby, just in case their man don't come and they won't be found. And it's just like he's paying all the bills, even he has false responsibilities. He's going the extra mile. The love is conditional. You know, the love is conditional, and they have their sons on standby on placeholder because they're worried that they won't be found, and they have the cheek to say to women, oh, where's your husband? It's like, you have him. You have him on standby. You have him as a placeholder because you don't know how to let go. You don't know how to be a mother. You don't know how to be a mother. You don't know how to provide and protect him. So now you have him as a placeholder. He's helping you pay the bills. The love is conditional, and it's a hot mess. So when it comes down to it, we have to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Maybe some women in church are not cursed. Maybe some women need to start raising their sons and not just tolerating them and having them as a son husband. Maybe we have to start nurturing little boys and helping them grow into a man instead of having them as a husband, because you're blocking someone. You're actually blocking someone's way, and we can't be hypocritical. We can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like wait and not do anything. Like, you have to do the work. You have to be selfish. You have to be like, you know what? I have to let you go. Because you're somebody's wife, and I can't. I mean, you're somebody's you're somebody's husband. So I have to let you go. I can't have you as a placeholder. I can't have you on standby because I'm lonely and desperate. I have to fill the void myself. You can't fill the void for me, and that's so important because you have a lot of people having these son husbands and stuff like that, and they have them as a placeholder, and they roast girls saying, oh my gosh, you know what, you're still single. Just like you're not raising men anymore. You're raising little boys and you're having them as men, and the husbands in your life, and you have the cheek to say, oh, you're still single. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna have your son on standby, I know that some people, some churches won't discuss this. They'll just say, you know what, you're a good mother, and you did your best and stuff like that. But I have to tell you the truth, because you have to do better. If you want to be a wife, you have to start raising children. You have to start raising kids and not have them as idol. So the third one I'll be talking about is like masculine mothers. I saw a video online, and I think some boy was in trouble, and she was like disciplining him, and I did not see a woman. I saw a man. She was so manly. Like, this could cause this can cause fear for women, and this can cause like some men might even doubt their masculinity. They might even some men are even put off with women altogether. Like some men are put off women altogether. Some men would like, oh, let me try, let me try a different type of woman. Maybe try white girls or light skinned girls, or if it's a situation like if your mother's black or something, or she's dark skinned, that could be something that could happen. Like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna try this race. I'm gonna try that race, and it still doesn't itch because they are so traumatized by their mum. They're so traumatized. That's why they feel like they can't be providers. They feel like, when people talk about stay at home mothers and homemaking, they're like they saw their mother do everything. They see their mother do everything, and they're like, why should I be a provider? I saw my mom do everything, and she was very harsh, and everything seems so simple, like provide shelter, and that's it. And they have this identity issue, thinking, oh my gosh, I saw my mom do it, I don't think I can. And he probably was so scared of her, and he had this unhealthy fear. Like, there's nothing wrong with respecting your mum, but if there's like a unhealthy fear, that can cause identity issue. That can cause men to feel like, you know what, can I even be a man? Because they have this fear, and they feel like, can I even be a leader? Can I even be a provider? Because what they see, and they haven't seen a man in a home providing, and it's not normal for them. And what women do is like they put this unrealistic expectation and pressure on men, and they haven't seen that. They haven't seen someone. They haven't seen a guy being a leader and saying, you know what, calm down. You need to put that down. Like, you need to calm down. And they don't see a leader. And women expect men to just get it. Oh, let's just get married now. Let's just deal with it. And it's just like, no. He needs a role model in his life. And do some men do look around. They do try to find pastors, male pastors and leaders and stuff like that to help them. But at the same time, some of these male leaders are emasculated by their Jezebelic wives, and especially a lot of these cults. A lot of male pastors are Ahabs. They are Ahabs, and they're controlled by their wife. Their wife has the power and money, and they don't have nothing because they're called to ministry. Like, some of them are called to ministry, and they probably go through warfare. They probably can't get a job properly, so their wife wears the trousers. And I'm gonna be honest with you that they don't wear the trousers. Most of the men don't wear the trousers. Their wife is the one that's providing, helping them build their ministry. Because I get it. You know what, I get it. Sometimes with ministry is a lot of warfare, and you get some pastors go through a lot of financial issues. But at the same time, if you want to provide and be a leader, sometimes you have to just have discernment and know that, you know what, this male role model, he could be a role model in some kind of ways. Like, he's leading his church, but he's not really leading his home. Like, there's certain things you have to pick up on. Like, I understand that some men need that male role model, and they're going around, they're trying to find like spiritual fathers that can build them up. But at the same time, you have to know that sometimes some pastors are angry and moody, and they could break your heart. They could be so moody with you, and they could give you they can literally emasculate you too, because they feel powerless. Don't take it personally. Like, maybe some guys are going in church and they're trying to find a male leader, but he's emasculating you or he's shaming you because he don't feel powerful, and that's not your business. I know how hard it is. You don't have a positive role model in your life, and you go into churches and you're looking to feel empowered, but he's embarrassing, he's bossy, he's rude, and it's because he has father wounds he's not dealing with. He has mother and father wounds he hasn't dealt with. He's called to ministry. He done this ministry school and stuff like that, but he hasn't gone to therapy and counselling to deal with his father wounds. That's why he's so nasty to you. That's why he's so rude and nasty, because he hasn't gone to counselling and therapy. And some men do try. They go to church. They try to do everything. They try to go to church and get a positive role model in their life. But some males are Ahabs, because some leaders are Ahab because their wife is Jezebelic and their mother was, and they didn't do the work. They went to ministry school. They done educational side, but when it comes to counseling and therapy, they neglected that. So that's why they treat you like trash, because they don't know how to deal with that. They don't know how to deal with you in a real way, in a proper way, because they haven't done the work themselves. They have father wounds, but they're thinking, you know what, the show must go on. Let's read the scripture, and they want to get on with it. And I understand how that feels. So it's so important. If you want to go to do counseling, get a male counselor. Maybe he's a Christian. It doesn't have to be a church in church, because sometimes church counselors, they're controlled by Jezebel, and they'll tell you, oh, he's busy. He's busy. Die to self. They might say, oh, die to self. Just shut up, because they are most of the time Jezebel's controlling them, tell them what to say and what to do. So sometimes these church counselors inside the church, they're getting bribery with Jezebel's giving them money to shut up, basically, and not take them accountability. They don't have to take accountability because they gave them hush money. So it's so important to you just get a Christian counselor and talk about certain issues about father wounds that some pastors have, because they don't want to address it. Their fathers probably was heartless and bossy, and they're now they're being bossy and rude to you, and it's like you trying to find a role model, and maybe he's a good leader in some kind of ways, but maybe as a father, like when it comes to the emotional side, he's a bit snappy because he hasn't developed that. So the next one is there's no I'll talk about this anyway, but there's no male role model. So it's like you have to start figuring out things out yourself, and you don't have to gaslight yourself. You don't have to gaslight yourself and think, oh yeah, I should just get on with it. No, it's that's so important. That's really, really important. Not having a male role model is very disheartening, and don't downplay that experience. Some people might say, oh, men aren't needed. They are needed. Men are very needed, and the Jezebel spirit can't stand masculinity, can't stand manhood, and they rather mothers idolize their son. If you idolize your son, that means he can't do no wrong, can't be corrected. It's like, oh, you better be perfect. You better be perfect. You better be like, you know what? You're my idol. Don't do anything wrong. Just please my needs. But when you go through issues, when you have problems, when you be a human, and you have issues, it's just like, oh, it's kind of like, wow, like, please don't have problems. Oh, don't cry. Like, they have this mentality. Oh, don't cry. Don't have problems. You're supposed to support my needs. That's why it's so important. Like, it needs to be addressed that some people don't want to be mothers. Their mother hurt them. They had they had false responsibilities too. Maybe they were the eldest sibling, and they had responsibilities and stuff like that. And they think, you know what, I'm gonna get kids, so I can be looked after. Everything's about them. They're very, very selfish. They are so self-centered and selfish, and you can turn into like your, especially if your environment is if there's a lot of women in church and there's not much males, you can turn very feminine. You can be very, very feminine and have identity issues, and because there's no male role models, sometimes you can get very sassy and gossip and messy and not be protective. Because some women resent a lot of church boys. They resent a lot of church boys because they weren't protective. They weren't protective. Like, oh, I'm sorry you went through that. Like, oh, if you're going through spiritual abuse or gossip, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. They're not protected because they have been emasculated. They've been abandoned by their mothers. They've been through stuff. So at the end of the day, it's so important to address that. The lack of male role models is so important, because we can talk about males, but it's so much Ahabs. We need more Boazes in church, but because of the lack of role models, there's not really a protective side. Like, oh, yeah, I got you. You're protected. It's okay. You shouldn't be publicly humiliated like that. You shouldn't. I'm sorry about the gossip and about the abuse. You're protected. And some women resent men in church because they seem to be so gossip. They join the gossip. They're sassy, and they get girls from outside the church, and like they rebel. And sometimes nothing wrong going outside the church, but I'm talking about going to the world, and it's because of identity issues. It's not being addressed. The adultery, the self-centeredness, and it's just not fair on men. So I'll talk about identity issues. Identity issues it's just not good for. It's not good for men to be gaslighted about their experiences, gaslighting them and saying, "Oh, you old man up," like, "Oh, it's not that deep. It's not that." They're trying to scapegoat guys. They're trying to scapegoat them, and it's so important not to do that. It's so important to gaslight them and go, oh, it's not that serious, you know, it's not that serious. So yeah, that being their first black bully, like being the first black female bully. That's why we could talk about school. We could talk about, you know, what they go through at school, and oh, you know, he was the first, like my first bully was a black boy, and it's just like his first black female was his mother. Like the first black female that bullied him was his mother, and his mother could be his first bully, and we don't address that, and we don't talk about that, and it's so important because if you want a emotionally intelligent man, he probably has to address the emotions that was neglected. He had to numb himself. He had to numb himself. He had to downplay his needs, and it's really important that if you do want someone emotional, that you have to be careful what you say. If you want someone emotional intelligent, we have to go back, and some people aren't willing to do that. They say it for their own selfish needs. So he had to be a therapist. He had to be her therapist. The love was conditional, and he couldn't just be himself. He couldn't make mistakes. It was so much pressure, and it's so important to address that. It's important to you know, don't downplay it. Don't downplay his pain. Don't downplay what he went through. Acknowledge it, because if you want someone healthy, masculine, and emotional intelligent, you have to address certain things. I hope that helped. If you needed counselling or coaching or progress, email me. Thank you for listening.